Okay, so now we're going to talk about our abs. So Stacy was just saying that most women don't seem to know how to engage their abs properly. So I think that's accurate. So we're going to talk about that. Even though we kind of touched on that in the beginning, this is specifically when it comes to engaging our core when we're doing our ab work, what we want to do. So as I mentioned before, we don't want our ab muscles to dome out when we engage them. We want them to flatten out. And the way to do that is that breath right there. When I did that, flattens out my transverse abdominis. And once that's engaged, you want to clench that and squeeze it and keep it engaged the entire time. So even when I'm at the top or when I'm at the bottom, that's engaged the entire time. So let's try that. It's important when it comes to doing ab work to make sure that that is engaged, especially if you've had babies, which you've had. How many babies? Two babies. I've had two babies as well. So what happens when we have babies is those muscles get stretched out. In my case, my first C-section, the muscle was actually cut through and through. So that was back in the barbaric days of cutting through. Now they just kind of pull them apart, and so the recovery is not quite as bad, but they still get stretched out quite a bit when we're pregnant, when the baby's in there. So we have to train those to kind of come back together. So what you're going to do is go ahead and engage the lower abdomen. So it's engaged and you feel it's nice. And so go ahead and put some pressure on it. So lift your arms up and good. And see how far back. So that's staying nice and flat the whole time, and then come back up again. So perfect. Go back again. And it's staying nice and flat. So for most people at this point, that's where it domes out. If that's doming out for you, that's probably because either you have to train yourself to correct that, or there's a weakness there. So just be aware of that. So go ahead and lay all the way down, and we're going to do a little ab exercise. So engaging that transverse abdominis. Now that we know what it feels like to engage that, we're going to engage it, squeeze it real tight. And then you're going to have a 90-degree angle in your legs, and you're going to start marching essentially on the ground. So one leg goes up and then down, the other one up and down, keeping that core totally immobile. So this is kind of moving just a little bit. Flatten that back out so the back's flat on the ground. Perfect. Yeah, just like that. Now, as that gets easier, you can start to do them both at the same time, so that they're off of the ground at the same time. Or you can extend your legs a little bit so that you've got a little more length in the leg, which is going to create more weight on the abs. So there you go. That's locked in just like this. So a lot of people, when they start to do this, will lift the leg up and bend the knee. So this is perfect. You see that Stacy's not moving the knee at all. All of the movement is coming from the hip. So that's perfect. The only thing I would change is just have a flexed foot, just like that. Perfect. And these seem to be a little easy for Stacy, so I'm going to have you bring them both up off the ground at the same time and start to flutter them just a little bit. Did we lose it there? Perfect.
Like this.
So one touches down, and then the other one. Perfect. Yeah. So creating a little more resistance for it. So you see that wants to start to come up, but that's good. You're still doing your best to keep that nice and flat. So I would say this is about where your starting point is. So you want to make sure that this stays flat against the mat at all times. So sometimes if we are endowed in the back, or if we have a large arch, sometimes we'll have to lift up, tilt the pelvis, and then we'll place it down. You just want to make sure that the lower back is flat on the mat the entire time. All right, so that is your starting point for that. So this is how you want to engage the abs on any and every ab exercise that you do. You want to make sure that whole core is nice and engaged. And another trick when it comes to the abs is keep them engaged the entire time. Do not release them.